Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about family planning, what every woman should know. Yeah, what every woman should know, because knowledge is power and it's your health. And in this 21st century, as women, we take power, we take control of our health. Family planning basically is the decision of a woman and her partner on how they want to space out their children and the number of children they want to have. So before we move into the various methods of family planning, I want to touch a little on the mechanisms. And depending on the type of family planning method you are using, the mechanisms may be peculiar, but there are three major ones that run across about 80%. So one, it prevents ovulation. Now, if there's no ovulation, meaning there's no release of eggs. If there's no release of egg, what is then going to be fertilized for implantation to take place, for a baby to be formed and all that? So one, it prevents ovulation. Two, it thickens the cervical mucus to prevent the ascension or make difficult the ascension of semen or sperm to meet the egg. That's in eventuality that there was an egg produced. It thickens the cervical mucus to make it difficult for the sperm to meet the egg for fertilization. And thirdly, it also prevents implantation. If there's a fertilized ovum, if there's no implantation, then there cannot be pregnancy. Yeah, so that's the three major methods. Other ones like the spermicide and all that. Spermicide like this will kill the spermicide, like the name. So dependent. So these are the three major ones. Now let's dive to the various family planning methods. I'm going to start with the natural family planning method for people that feel they don't want to inject their bodies with anything, they don't want any hormones messing up. Yeah, one of the natural family planning methods is the calendar method, the most popular calendar method. This method is wonderful as if the couple eventually decides to start having children, if a couple understands how the calendar method works, if they eventually decide to start having children, it's easier for them because they know how the body works. How does this work? The woman is able to tell when her safe period is able to tell when she's ovulating, is able to tell the danger times. So that way, in the safe periods, they have unprotected sexual intercourse. But when she knows that she's in her fertile days, during that period, either sexual intercourse is avoided or is done with a protection. Okay. Now, another family planning method under the natural family planning is what we call the lactational amenorrhea. Now, this is a very tricky one because we said lactational amenorrhea, so it's the lack of menses that accompanies breastfeeding. And there are parameters that need to be met for this to work. If you're not exclusively breastfeeding, you are setting yourself up. I'll see you in the labor ward in 9 months' time. Also, it is amenorrhea. So the very moment you start seeing your menses, know that you are out. It means you have started ovulating. So please, dear mamas, if you have started seeing your menses, please know that this is not for you. If you are not exclusively breastfeeding, please, no. It's lactational amenorrhea. It's the body's way of telling, the body's way of still telling the body that you are breastfeeding, so it's not ready to have another child yet. So in simple terms, and then hence there is no ovulation. But the very moment you start having your menses, please know that ovulation has set in. You speak to your healthcare provider. We should find a family planning method that suits you. Please, when you go to the hospital for a family planning method, it's great that you go in with an option in mind. However, please also speak to the healthcare providers. They would ask you certain questions. They will find out what your fertility plan is. When do you want to give birth? In how many years' time are you looking forward to giving birth? Which family planning method is suitable for you? Which family planning method will you return to fertility faster? And all those things are discussed before a method is chosen to best suit you. So if A said this did not work for me, it does not mean that this will not work for you. Probably she went and said, I want this, without asking the necessary question or allowing the healthcare providers to give their input. Now we move to the barrier method. The barrier method, that means you're talking about the male and female condoms. Now, an extra advantage of this barrier method is not only is it a family planning method by preventing pregnancy, it also prevents sexually transmitted infections. So that's an advantage of this barrier method. Quickly moving down to the hormonal method, we are looking at the pills and injectables. The pills is taken daily. For the injectables, it's taken like every 3 months, depending on the one you're on. Here in my part of the country, we use the Depo-Provera, which is taken every 3 months, and then the injectables. The injectables was taken every 3 months. Then the pills, which is taken daily. These ones need consistency. If you know you cannot take the pills every day at that same time, like you have a time that you are taking it on the same period, you know you cannot be consistent, please do not start what you cannot continue. So tomorrow you will not say, I mistakenly got pregnant, nobody explained it to me. It has not happened like that, please. Then the next one under the hormonal, we are looking at, so I was talking about pills, injectables, then implants. So it's placed under the arm, the skin of the arm. So we have the 3 years one and we have the 5 years. So depending on the number of rods, the 1 rod and the 2 rod is placed under the arm, and then it's removed when mother wants to resume childbirth. Also, we have the patches, which is placed on the skin and changed every week. We also have the vaginal rings that is changed monthly. We have also what we call the long reversible contraceptive methods. So they are not permanent, but they take, you can use it for a longer period. And if you mention this, what should come to your mind is our IUCs, intrauterine contraceptive devices. There's the hormonal one and the non-hormonal ones. We place this into the uterus, intrauterine, of the woman to prevent pregnancy, just like the others. Now, this can last from 5 to 10 years. However, it can be taken out anytime the woman wishes to resume childbirth, and fertility resumes almost immediately, like 98% immediately. So if you want this and you will say, okay, I want to give it in 3 years time, I use an IUC, it doesn't mean that you have to wait till 5 years, you have to wait till 10 years. No, it can be taken out at any time. And there's also what we call the permanent method, the bilateral tubal ligation, the tubal ligation method. So it's a permanent method. That one is a decision taken by women who have decided that probably I have reached the number of my fertility goal, my childbirth goal, whatever goal you have for your self. I do not want to have any children. You discuss it with your healthcare provider, or probably you don't have any children yet, but you know in the nearest future you do not want to have any children, and you don't want to disturb yourself about which family planning method am I going to use to prevent pregnancy. If you are sure I do not want to have any children, then this is the method you would choose. Also, aside the permanent one, which is the tubal ligation, abstinence is also a method. So for those who are sure that I am not ready to I'm not ready to have children now, and because I'm not ready to have children, I'm not ready to engage in sexual activities, then if you choose abstinence, fine. You are doing well, but then take note that abstinence is also not ignorance. The fact that you're abstaining does not mean you should not know your option. You will realize that in all of this, I did not mention withdrawal as a family planning method, because it has a high rate of failing. So please, let's work with what has been proven scientifically to give results. So tomorrow we do not we don't hear stories that I did not know and it happened. We don't want to hear all that. So if you have, in the comment section, let me know which family planning method are you on, dear mamas. What family planning method do you think you would want to choose? And if you have any story about your family planning, which method did you choose? Did it work for you? I've heard babies coming out with IUCD their hands. Did any family planning method fail for you? Let me know all the stories and any myth you had heard. You have heard about family planning, because in my next videos, one of these days, I will be talking about the myth of family planning. So drop your questions in the comment section and I'll be right there to answer all of them. Till next time, tada.